Jon-Tom reeled dizzily at the top of the steps. All wrong, he knew. Out of place, out of time. He was not standing before the entrance to this strange council building in a city named Polistrindu. A 5-foot-tall otter in peaked green cap and bright clothing was not eyeing him anxiously, wondering if he was about to witness a fainting spell. A bespectacled bipedal turtle was not staring sourly at him, waiting for him to regain his senses, so they could be about the business of saving the world. An enormous, exceedingly ugly black bat was not hovering nearby, muttering darkly to himself about dirty pots and pans, and the lack of workman's comp a famulus enjoyed while in a wizard's employ. Sadly, saying these things did not transform the reality. "Here now, mate," the otter Mudge inquired. "Don't you be sick all over us, what?" "Sorry," Jonathan Thomas Merriweather said apologetically. "Oral exams always make me queasy." "Be of good cheer, my young friend," said the wizard Clothahump. He tapped his plastron. "I shall do the necessary talking. You are here to add credence to what I will say, not to add words. Come now, time dies and the world draws nearer disaster." He ambled through the portal. As he had now for many weeks, the transposed Jon-Tom could only long for his own vanished world, hope desperately that once this crisis had passed, Clothahump would return him to it, and follow the turtle's lead. Inside, they marched past scribes and clerks and other functionaries, all of whom turned to look at them in passing. The hall itself was wood and stone, but the bark-stripped logs that supported this structure had been polished to a high luster. Rich reds faded into bright, almost canary-yellow grains. The logs had the sheen of marble pillars. They turned past 2 clusters of arguing workers. The arguing stopped as they passed. Apparently everyone in Polistrindu now knew who they were, or at least that they controlled the dragon who'd almost burned down the city the previous night. Up a pair of staircases they climbed. Clothahump puffed hard to keep up with the rest. Then they passed through a set of beautiful black and yellow buckeye burl doors that entered a small room. There was a single straight, long table on a raised dais. It curved at either end, forming horns of wood. To the right, a small bespectacled Margay sat behind a drafting table. He wore a brown shirt, shorts, boots, and an odd narrow cap. The quill pen he was writing with was connected by wooden arms to 6 similar pens hovering over a much larger table and 6 separate scrolls. It was a clever mechanism, enabling the scribe to make an original and 6 copies simultaneously. An assistant, a young wolf cub, stood nearby. He was poised to change the scrolls or unroll them as the occasion demanded. Seated behind the raised table was the Grand Council of the city, county, and province of Greater Polistrindu, the largest and most influential of its kind in the Warm Lands. Jon-Tom surveyed the councilors. From left to right, he saw first a rather foppishly clad prairie dog draped in thin silks, lace, neck chains, and a large gold earring in his right ear. Next came a corpulent gopher in pink, wearing the expected dark wraparound glasses. This redoubtable female likely represented the city's nocturnal citizens. His eyes passed impatiently over most of the others. There were only 2 truly striking personalities seated behind the table.